I'm going to play a video of a person. His name is John Kaminski. Okay, John Kaminski. If you ever get a chance to look him up on the internet, he has a few videos out there. I'm going to play one or two of them actually today, because he was asked, what is an anti-Semite? He was asked that, and I thought he did a very good job explaining it. So I'm going to play the video, and here we go right now.
Explain to me what anti-Semitism is, what's it supposed to mean, and what it does to people.
Anti-Semitism is used as a great blockade. When somebody's called an anti-Semite, it's usually because they've asked some question or made some comment about Jewish behavior in some way, shape, or form. And because Jews don't want to discuss that behavior, they call you an anti-Semite for daring to question that Jews do anything bad ever. That's really why it is used. The whole thing about them not being Semites and 85% of the people in Israel, 85% of the Jews in Israel being of Russian or Polish extraction, means they're not Semites. So the word is used to give them some kind of racial grouping which you associate in your mind with a brown-skinned minority, and you group the Jews in there with them, and you've been taught not to pick on black people because they're less well off than we are. So it's designed to create a feeling of brotherhood, actually. Anti-Semitism is designed to create a feeling of brotherhood, that the Jews are somehow brothers to the Semites, and the Sephardic Jews are the original Jewish inhabitants of that area, if there were any. Certainly the ones who live there now are Semites. They're Sephardics. They're second-class citizens in Israel as well, because Israel's been taken over by the Ashkenazim, who are essentially Russian. Anytime you say something about Jews, Zionists, Israel, anything with a tangent to Jews that is in a negative light, you're going to be called an anti-Semite by the Jews, because this is the defense mechanism that they use to cover up their crimes and to prevent analysis of the criminal action that has happened, which so very often leads to a Jewish perpetrator. Does that about say what you wanted to hear about anti-Semitism? It's an automatic barometer. When somebody calls you an anti-Semite, they are either a Jew or a philo-Jew, who Eustace Mullins would use the term Shabbos Goy, which we know means a non-Jew in the pay of the Jews, working for the Jews, spouting the Jewish philosophy, which many people endorse, because the Jewish philosophy is, how did Franz Seiler describe it the other day? It is an excuse to commit crimes. That's all it is. You put all your morals aside and you can do anything. That's the Jewish philosophy. And of course the other part of it, for the people who actually are Jewish, in following the dictates of the Talmud, believe that they are better than everybody else, and they act accordingly. And we see the horror in the world that is generated by that insanity.
All right, so anyway, that's John Kaminski, all right, Kaminski. You can do a Google search, video search and seeing his videos. And I even have another one I might play here too. But I think you see the point. You see, anytime anybody criticizes Israel, this is what they do to you. You're an anti-Semite. Because, see, most people out there don't have the balls to stand up to them. Because again, if you have a job and you work and you're in the public's eye, you're a politician or whatever, you're never ever going to do anything to displease the Jews. I mean, you're not going to do it because they'll ruin you. And they've tried to ruin me in my business, which they've failed. They've failed miserably, because see, I work for myself, all right? But somebody else would have some real issues here. And that's why you don't see a lot of people. Well, you see on the internet now they are speaking out. But, a lot of people are afraid to speak out and criticize Israel for what they have done, okay, and the bad things they've done. So anyway, I just wanted to lay that down with you because, again, you're going to see in the papers and you're going to see all this crap about me being this and being that, calling me all these names, and that being one of them. And it really is on their part, a real dishonest thing that they're doing because, again, I have no problem with anybody in life as long as they're doing things right and they're honest and they're good people. But, if you're doing things wrong, I mean, I've criticized the Catholic Church. I criticize the Muslims. I criticize the Jews. I criticize Christians. I criticize a lot of different people. So, don't think I'm only picking on one group of people. I just tell the truth about what's going on. And I'm not afraid to upset the apple cart of all these groups by telling you if they're doing something wrong, it's wrong. Okay, welcome back. We're going to continue on in the discussion with John Kaminski here because we're going to now talk about the control of these elites, okay, the Zionist Jews, as we call them, who are controlling America, because that's what it is. Remember, there's a lot of good people out there that are Jewish, but there are some really bad apples out there that are doing some real damage. Those are the ones I'm speaking about, folks, today, all right? Those are the ones I'm speaking about. I'm not talking about your neighbor that might be a good person that goes to the temple and really respects and honors God. I'm not talking about those type of people. I'm talking about people who are doing a lot of harm to people and perpetuating lies and all these type of things. Those are the people I'm talking about. So let's go to part 2 on this. I mean, I was very fascinated by this man speaking. That's why I want you to hear this, because he brings out a lot of good points. So let's go here.
How is it that they can take over so much mind control? And by mind control, I mean...
No, I know what you mean.
Okay.
I certainly know what you mean. It's pretty much incomprehensible to us Goyim, because for 100 years we haven't seen it. We've kind of heard about it, but we've been convinced otherwise. And the people who've done that have been the media. Reading Eustace and putting myself back into the period of World War I, there were then mainstream Americans like Charles Lindbergh Sr. and a senator from Wisconsin named La Follette, who spoke of their opposition to the money trust, is what they called it then, and that was the group of Jewish bankers that established the Federal Reserve System. And it was spoken about in the mainstream then because there was such a broader diversity of publications. The mainstream media stranglehold that exists now, where 6 corporations own all the television stations in the whole world or something like that, didn't exist then. There was a much broader diversity, and you see that when you read Henry Ford and many of the other writers of the time who, it's impossible for me to tell, but they were reported on in the mainstream press, so I'm thinking they were part of the mainstream spectrum. Now, only a small corner of the internet, nothing in print, nothing in magazines, very little in books. And that's primarily because all of the distribution systems are controlled by them. You'll get weeded out real fast, either by coercion or something worse, if you try to go this way, this route, which is why you see on the internet Alex Jones and Jeff Rentz so tiptoeing around the issue as best they can. I mean, Rentz makes a big deal about having all these insights about the Jewish monster, but he doesn't really do it. None of them really do it because their incomes depend on them not doing it. So how do you fault somebody like that? I can do it because I don't have any assets. But for most people who have families and things to protect, it's very difficult for them to do that because doing it means they're going to give up their livelihood whether they like it or not. And how many times has it happened? How many great writers have been ruined and marginalized? And Douglas Reed was a best-selling author in the 30s, and the minute he wrote about what the real menace was, he was dead.
What's bothersome about all this is the fact that people will say it's not true, that people's lives haven't been ruined and this and that and this and that. You really have to get out there, do your research about the Holocaust lies, get into David Cole's videos, go to YouTube, do a search for David Cole's videos in Auschwitz, and start to learn yourself what the heck happened during the Holocaust. The way this whole thing has come down is so backwards and so wrong. People are lying through their teeth, and the reason why they're lying is because one thing: follow the money. There's billions and billions of dollars that have been made because of this Holocaust stuff. All right? So you got to do your own research. I've already done the research. I'm Jim Rizoli. We'll see you next week. Lie, 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 lie.